Honorable Swart.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, from the ACDP's perspective, we would like to commend the Minister, the Deputy Minister, the Department, DG, and SARS for excellent work in this budget. Minister, you'll appreciate that we continue to pray for you, we continue to work hard in oversight, but we would also urge you to follow your namesake, Enoch, to walk closely with God, and I'd urge each of us to walk closely with God to seek His solutions. And we do see, as I've indicated, that there is hope for the nation. As I've indicated, we are not part of the GNU, but we want to give credit where credit is due. And we have said widely that the ship is starting to move in the right direction. And yes, DG, we need a fiscal anchor for when there are storms. We welcome the fact of the increase in primary surplus, which could serve to a certain degree as a fiscal anchor, but we do also understand that one needs to look at a more robust fiscal anchor. I think when we get to the slowly reducing debt service costs, which are to be welcomed, it took me a while as a lawyer to understand the issue of the stabilization of debt for the first time in 17 years, given the increase for this year. And I do understand it's almost like loading up front with taking benefit of lower bond yields, lower interest rates, so going forward it will improve. But obviously it all depends on economic growth. And this is an issue I've raised in the past, the reliability of your economic growth projections. But for once, all the financial markets, the matrices are looking a lot more positive. What I'd like to ask specifically is whether sufficient is being done to address policy uncertainty, policy regulations to improve business confidence, to unlock the 1.8 trillion rand that is sitting in cash reserves so that we can have a greater private sector capital investment. And I think that is critical. And yes, we already see that to a certain degree, but clearly when it comes to infrastructure development, moving from consumption to infrastructure development, that is critical. Commissioner, I'd also like to thank him. He's in his absence, I see, but just to thank him, and please take note of some of my comments. We do note the improvement in tax collection given the additional resources, but clearly there's still more to be done given that the book debt is still 5.8 trillion, 5.8, wish it was trillion, 5.8 billion rand of undisputed debt. And I'd like the Commissioner to comment on additional funding requirements and resources needed to collect that debt, and in particular, to comment on the governance model that is required, as well as the funding. And then tied up with that is the issue of illicit trade of alcohol and tobacco products that is costing the state tens of billions of rands, and how we can come in from myself as a senior member of the Justice Portfolio Committee, an integrated approach that seems to be lacking. I'd also like to comment, having been part of the ESCOM inquiry of Parliament and following closely the Zondo Commission, the steps to recover ill-gotten gains that is sitting in overseas bank accounts. And it's a relatively simple legal process using Moreva injunctions, approaching US courts because most of these funds are in dollar denominations. We want to see those perpetrators behind bars. They're named in the Zondo Commission, but we want to see that ill-gotten gains recovered. And to what degree can artificial intelligence, data collection, and procurement, looking forward, projecting historically to get the debt, but looking forward, projecting where there can be improvements in our procurement. Lastly, just please comment on the SANDF, which in my view is still underfunded. Thank you, Chair, for the opportunity.
Thank you, Honorable Swart. I was about to say amen after 5 minutes, and so we're going to move on quickly.